Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to XDefiant. The game turns 1 week old tomorrow. On Tuesday, they'll mark the 1 week anniversary of XDefiant launching, and during that initial launch window, a lot of people have jumped on the game, they've experienced it, they've tried things out, and of course, a lot of feedback and a lot of criticism are being levied towards the XDefiant developers. Well, today we're going to be covering a number of pretty big changes that are going to be coming to XDefiant because, believe it or not, the developers are listening. They are taking in that community feedback, and they are going to be making some pretty hefty adjustments to the game as a result of that community feedback, and I'm pretty excited about this because in my eyes, virtually every update here is going to be a positive one. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. First things first, coming from the head honcho himself, Mark Rubin, netcode and hit registration. A lot of people talking about it, and we are listening. We are working on improvements. There are 1,000 plus things that can affect netcode, and we need to investigate and fix each and every one. So it will take some time, but we will see improvements. To add to that, he notes that there are numerous other topics that people have brought up about XDefiant, and they are listening. They are using software that searches across social media, Reddit, Discord, and etc. for topics, and it gives them a big list, and they're attacking that list as fast as they can. I think obviously that is going to be the #1 concern within XDefiant. I made videos about this back during the playtest. It doesn't matter how good the guns feel. It doesn't matter how pretty the maps are. It doesn't matter how slow the weapons level up, which honestly they need to level up a little bit faster, but none of that matters, right? Nothing matters if the core foundation of the game just fundamentally doesn't work. Like when you're shooting at somebody and your bullets aren't hitting because of the servers, or if they're shooting back at you and they're not able to hit you, or if you're 10 feet around the corner and somehow you're still dying, like those are fundamental issues when it comes to an online fast-paced first-person shooter. And with XDefiant being an arcade shooter, meaning that as soon as you get one kill, you better expect 2 or 3 more people to start shooting at you. Like it can sometimes feel chaotic, it can sometimes feel overwhelming, and it really sucks when you feel like you did everything right. Like you juked and you jived, you got around that corner, you took out 2 people, but it doesn't matter because even though you got around that corner on your screen, you're still a couple feet behind on the other screen and you're dead. And it feels bad when it seems like you as a player are able to outperform the servers themselves. Like your reaction time is quick enough, your reflexes are good enough, but the servers can't keep up with you. That really sucks. And apparently netcode and hit registration are 2 of the biggest things that they are currently working on over on the XDefiant team. The next update is going to be coming in from Aches, who of course is a lead developer on the game, who says that we do intend to penalize players for too many repeated jumps and crouches by adding aim sway. This was disabled after our tests while we made some needed improvements, and unfortunately did not make it in time for launch, but rest assured, we will get this in as soon as possible. We absolutely want players to use all mechanics in our game and not feel restricted, but there's a sweet spot between intended use and spam, and we want to get that right. One of the biggest bits of feedback I'm seeing from the community would be the number of bunny hoppers within XDefiant. It's pretty much everywhere because there's really no penalty for it whatsoever, and nowadays because of Call of Duty and because of advertisements on YouTube and things, pretty much everybody uses a fancy controller with back paddles. Well, the result of all that is when you get into lobbies where people are actually a little bit sweaty, which does not happen all the time because of course there is no skill-based matchmaking, but when you do get into those lobbies and people are just spam jumping constantly, it's just really frustrating. Honestly, I think that's the best way I can possibly put it. So what they're going to be doing is when people are spam jumping constantly, they're going to be getting a bunch of aim sway, which is going to make it a lot more difficult for them to hit their shots, which should be interesting because they do want people to be able to jump shot within the game. They don't want them to feel too restricted, but they don't want them spamming constantly either. There has to be a sweet spot, and apparently that is something that they are working on. Now, speaking of finding the sweet spot, let's talk about these sniper rifles within this game, because currently, as XDefiant sits, these sniper rifles are basically what we saw back during Black Ops Cold War, where because they have no flinch, they are virtually uncounterable. It's one of those things, right? I think that snipers need to be good, especially in a fast-paced game like this. They have to have pretty fast handling, they have to reward people for having good reaction time, but when there is 0 flinch on the sniper rifle itself, it results in a situation where once somebody gets really good with a sniper, there's nothing the other people can do. If there's somebody who's really good with an M16, they can be countered, they can be outgunned. If somebody's really good with an MP5, they can be countered, they can be outgunned. You know, name any other weapon category in the game, the ACR, you know, you can talk about the light machine guns or whatever. But when it comes to a good sniper with an XDefiant, if you're shooting at them and they have no flinch, then the only counter to a very good sniper is them missing. So you basically take away all control from the player and put it in the hands of the person with the sniper rifle. If you're being lit up with a submachine gun or an assault rifle, you should have some flinch. You shouldn't just be able to left trigger, right trigger down people, and apparently Aches agrees with this. Of course, I did post a video about my thoughts on snipers on Twitter the other day, and then Aches responded, "We're actively working on fixing hit flinch, so don't fear," which seems to indicate that snipers will indeed have flinch, which again ties into that entire idea of having a sweet spot. You want the snipers to be fast handling, you want to reward people for having really good reaction time and really good accuracy, but there has to be some balance in there so that when people are shooting them back, they have to have at least some flinch, because otherwise you have situations like we had back in Black Ops Cold War where snipers were virtually uncounterable. You had to basically just hope that they missed, otherwise you died, which creates a really bad gameplay paradox. So I'm very happy that they're working on that and that snipers are indeed going to have flinch in the relatively near future. Now, speaking of things that are going to be added in the future, we have Mark Rubin confirming today that yes, indeed, they are adding Search and Destroy. As of right now, we don't know when that's going to be, presumably Season 1, but Search and Destroy will be coming to XDefiant, as well as a ping system, which was in the works, but it was apparently stalled out because the people working on it had to be moved to more high priority stuff, because of course when hit registration and stuff like that are not really working within the game, obviously you want to focus on that as compared to adding a ping system, but eventually down the line a ping system will be coming. So there you guys have it. The XDefiant devs are indeed listening. We have a situation now where they are going to continue to work on the servers and hit registration, which is fantastic. They're going to be nerfing snipers ever so slightly to make them come down to earth a little bit more. A ping system is coming, Search and Destroy is coming, and in your more day-to-day gameplay, you're going to see jump shotters and bunny hoppers being nerfed down a little bit, which definitely sounds like some pretty good news. So we're not even 1 week into the game being out and they're already announcing all of these changes based on community feedback, which is incredible, honestly. I mean, obviously some people are going to say, well, how is this stuff not in the game at launch? Regardless, they're still working on it. They're going to be putting that stuff out there, and something is better than nothing. I'm happy they're taking that feedback to heart, and I'm happy that they're going to be adding that stuff to the game and making these tweaks and making these changes, because again, virtually every single thing here is a positive update, at least in my own personal opinion, and I'm also interested to see what other updates they may have for us as we move forward. For example, right now we're currently within the preseason, which is only going to be lasting for 6 weeks. After that, we have a regular seasonal system, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. With those seasons, what exactly do they plan to add to the game? Obviously, they talked about Search and Destroy and a ping system, but what about something like a prestige system? What about something like a more robust challenge system within the game that rewards players more for their time? As of right now, this is a free-to-play game, therefore you can expect the microtransactions and how the monetization works to be a bit wonky, but outside of bronze, silver, and gold camos, there really isn't a whole lot for the player to work towards in the game, and I feel like for the long-term success of a free-to-play shooter like this, players have to be engaged whether or not they swipe their credit card. So I'm interested to see what progression paths they have going forward. Prestige mode, obviously, once again, that's a very big one for me personally, but the things that we have right now, the things right in the first week of the game being out are very positive changes in my opinion, but of course, that's where you guys come in. What do you think of these updates? What do you think of these changes? Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments, as well as what else you would personally change about the game. Let me know all about that. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.